I ran through my burning town. People were screaming throughout the whole way that I ran, crying and begging for help, crying out in pain and agony as they begged God for help. But there was no God here. I ran through the streets, fire surrounding me on both sides as the homes burned, and so did the people within them, adding to the ear-piercing screams. I had to get home. I knew that I had to get home. That was all that was on my mind. I had to get home. I was almost there. But that's when the worst of it started. Creatures started to crawl out of the flames. Horrifying creatures that were bigger than any normal person. They had teeth that were made out of blades, razors, sharp weapons. Many of them were wrapped in barbed wire as well, making cuts and lacerations all over their body. This didn't seem to slow them down, though. If anything, it seemed to excite them. They moved through the city like a plague of locusts, destroying what little buildings that weren't on fire, and attacked those that had escaped the fires. They used their blade-filled mouths to tear flesh off the people. I saw a small group of them take the barbed wire off of themselves and wrap it around a person's neck before hanging them with it. They gagged and bled all over the floor of the street before the monsters stood under them and let the blood drip all over their bodies and into their mouths as they danced and chanted. They spoke some weird language that I couldn't understand, but it seemed like it burned my ears whenever I heard it. The burning feeling made me let out a small scream from the pain of hearing their horrible voices. They heard my scream and began to chase after me. They let out demonic laughter as they did. They were clearly faster than me, but they went slower on purpose. They enjoyed the chase. They enjoyed the fear that coursed through my body as I ran. I felt the smoke from the burning buildings and people breathe into me and into my lungs. It made my lungs feel like they were burning, which weakened me further and made me slow down. The monsters clearly got bored by this point and had begun getting closer to me. I took a sharp turn into a house and began kicking at a piece of wood that had burned and been weakened by the fire. The wood eventually gave way under my boot, and just as those things entered the house, and just as they did, the wood that I kicked away made half of the house collapse on top of them, as that wood that I kicked was the only thing keeping it up. I quickly ran out of the building, not wanting the rest of the house to collapse on me, and wanting me to share the same fate as those monsters. I continued to run home. I had to get home to make sure that my family was all right. I eventually reached my house, avoiding more of those monsters and fires along the way. However, though, my house was the only thing that wasn't burning. I quickly ran inside and began to call out their names, desperately hoping that they were okay, but I couldn't find them anywhere. Suddenly, the air felt cold, insanely cold, unbelievably cold. I shivered as I turned around and looked at the front door, and there he was, the Lord of Lies, the Morningstar. He walked in with a smile on his face, as if he was seeing an old friend. He wore a pure white suit, with white dress pants and white shoes to match. He walked further in the house. Ice formed wherever he stepped, with small blue flames around the formation of ice. "Where is he now?" he said, His voice stung to hear, as if poison was being dripped into my ear with each word that he uttered. Going to chalk this up to him working in mysterious ways again, aren't you? He said with a smug grin as he let out a chuckle. Where's my family? I said, trying to sound brave, but instead I sounded like a small pup. Oh, they're right here. His grin went from small to unnaturally wide as he opened up his suit, and then I saw it. My family. Their faces moved and screamed underneath his skin. They were screaming in pain as they were tortured beyond belief. He saw my horrified look. His eyes went from an icy blue to completely black. Oh, don't worry. You won't join them. I know the thing that you care about most is your family. So I'll make sure that you'll be able to see them for all eternity. He grabbed me, and my face felt like it was starting to freeze as blue fire suddenly filled my home. You watching them suffer for all eternity. That's the worst thing that you can imagine, isn't it? I can't wait for the fun that we'll have. Suddenly, blue flames surrounded me and him as he slowly began to drag me down, further down, into my eternal punishment. Hey guys, Children of the Night here, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's story, whether it be on YouTube or on the podcast. The YouTube channel can be found at youtube.com/Children of the Night, or link in the description. And the podcast can be found basically anywhere you can find podcasts, such as Spotify, Google, Anchor, like I said, pretty much everywhere. If you are interested in supporting me more than you already are by watching either the podcast or on the YouTube channel, be sure to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Children of the Night, or again, you can just use the link in the description. There you can get access to polls which dictate which horror story I'll narrate next. You can get voice acting roles in the podcast, or you can get early access to these narrations so you can hear them before anyone else. Even if you donate just $1, it goes a long way in, keeping the lights on and making the show in higher quality. So thank you so much for anyone who decides to do that. And if you are interested in seeing some horror-related memes or just some minor updates, be sure to check out my Instagram page at Children of the Night 1. And be sure to tune in every single Friday for brand new episodes of the podcast. But until we see each other again, I want to say good night and sweet dreams to all my fellow Children of the Night.